Hey traders, welcome back to the channel. My name is Nick, also known as Trader Nick here on YouTube. I share all sorts of Forex related content. Today we're going to be talking about gold, and I'm going to be sharing my outlook on this currency pair or commodity, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be taking a look at gold from a longer term perspective and just giving my general technical analysis as well as my bias on this pair. Today is, at the time of making this video, November 30th, 2019, and hopefully this analysis will help you at least consider some of the ideas, and I'll give my opinion on gold. Now, of course, this is not financial advice. I'm just sharing my personal analysis on the pair. I think it has some really interesting stuff going on with it, and let's go ahead and dive right into it. So here we are. We're taking a look at XAUUSD. I've got my trading view pulled up, and what you can see here is that recently this year, we have seen a nice spike to the upside on gold. Now, what I'm going to be talking about today, I'm going to be focusing primarily on the daily chart as well as the weekly chart, just getting a bigger picture, longer term idea of where I think this market is headed. Now, if we take a look left, what we can see here on the gold market is that we have seen a very strong rally starting right around the lows here where we had in August of 2018. We put in a low here and we started to really see this market chop around for a bit before ultimately breaking above the 200 SMA, which is this orange line here, and ultimately consolidating before continuing to spike to the upside. Now, this is in a longer term outlook. So if we take a look, this is about from low to high there, that's about 385 days. So a year of time to let this trend really push to the upside. So gold has been trending upwards for over a year now. And so that kind of has some interesting things to think about. So when you have these longer term trends, a lot of times people will start to say when looking at a pair like gold, you know, this market is too high. We should see markets come down. You know, every time it starts to move higher, people are saying that it's too high and that it has to come down. But I do want to scroll back here in order to look forward. I think it is valuable to consider things that have happened in the past. Gold has trended very, very strongly in the past. Take a look at this massive bullish trend that we got from 2009 all the way till what looks like to be right around, let's say the end of the trend was 2011. So we had a nice, multiple year run here where we saw just a massive increase on the gold market, and the market continued to chug higher and higher. So just when people were thinking things were high, you could see like right here, people might have said this is high, and then sure enough, we saw a continuation. We saw price come down, continue higher, pull back, continue higher. And this is kind of the nature of a strong trending market like the one on gold, where we can see things really just continue for a long period of time. So now, flash forward back to the time being, we do see another bullish market or bull market in gold right now. And so the question is, can we see that continuation? There's an argument for a bullish case here, but it ultimately failed. We saw that market pull back, and we overall saw this market kind of chop back and forth for a little while. Well, now things have changed. Things have sharply moved to the upside, and the question is, can we see the continuation of this gold market? We've seen a very beautiful trend continuation setup. Here you can see the market made a movement to the upside. We pulled back on a light retracement there before shooting to the upside again. Here is my thesis. So now we've taken a look at kind of just understanding gold historically, and now I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think might happen next on gold. Now, again, I might be wrong about this. I'm not a perfect technical analyst, but the idea here is that I think that there's some pretty good strict observations from my analysis that could give us some pretty good trade setups if they do in fact play out. So we do see another retracement here on gold currently. You can see that if I get my trend lines here and we go ahead and draw a secondary one along the bottom here, we do kind of have this downward channel to the downside, right? So my idea here is that gold is not necessarily in a downtrend yet. And let me tell you why. I don't think gold is in a downtrend because we are currently still trading above that 200 SMA, and we still do have a nice sign of bullish momentum overall. Now we are seeing this counter trend, right? And we are seeing prices pull back, but I think that we still have room to potentially break this out and continue higher. And let me go on to tell you a little bit why I think that. Now again, gold has that tendency longer term to really trend. Historically, it shows us that it likes to go on these monster trends, and that we may be starting to see one that is another longer term bullish outcome or a bullish trend to the upside. So we'll see what we can get, but here's my kind of bias, short term and a little bit longer term. So short term, I think we could be headed back to test this 200 period SMA. Now, what people will often notice about markets, something that I like to pay attention to, is the fact that markets often like to retest significant areas of support or resistance, meaning that they like to kind of retest supply and demand, or see if markets still have buyers or if markets still have sellers. It's kind of like when you can see products that are going for sale. For example, if you're watching the cars being sold off of a lot, right? You can kind of see what other cars are selling for to gauge what a proper price for a car might be, right? Same thing in markets in the terms of currency market trading, right? We have people waiting to see, hey, is this 200 period SMA going to hold? Hey, is this level of support going to hold? That sort of thing. And that's going to be a telltale sign for people who want to invest or sell or buy gold, right? They get this this idea that they can take a look at technical zones, technical levels, and see, how are market participants reacting to this area. So as we do see this market continue to downtrend, I think that we could be headed back down to test this 200 SMA. And from there, I think we could see the longer term trend kick in and overall continue to push up on the gold market. Now, this is strictly based on that longer term uptrend that we are seeing, as well as a significant pullback zone. Now, one more thing I would like to include about this is take a look here. You can see we do have some support structure as well. So if we just kind of drew this level out, let's change it to green so we can see it. And the idea here is that this green support zone previously was a major level of resistance, right? Price came up to this area. We found sellers selling, overall holding this level until we finally broke out. Well, now as we start to come back down to retest that area, we could see this level hold now as a support level, right? So what previously was a resistance point here may now become a support level on the retest after seeing that significant breakout. So just reading the technicals, I think we have a pretty good chance for a nice setup on the long side if gold can come down to a little bit further of a retracement along this pullback zone. You have a couple different factors here that look really good. Let's see if we can get one more in terms of Fibonacci retracements. That might be one more thing that I'd like to see. If we can grab this, go from here to here, look at that 50% level. That looks really clean there. You can see it lines up pretty nicely with our support zone, with the bottom of this trend line here, and with the 200 SMA. So you have multiple factors there that might give you a pretty good chance to see a nice little bounce trade in the continuation of this trend. Real quick, let's wrap up by taking a look at the weekly chart and see if there's anything significant here. Now, obviously, you're going to have some levels to consider if price does go back up, right? So things to consider if you're looking for a target is maybe you consider the higher areas up here as your major levels of resistance, right? Those previous highs, treating this as a zone might be something to consider. And you can kind of see those wicks that we were talking about here on the weekly chart. There's our support zone. We can see, if I make that green again, there's kind of where we were talking about in terms of a support zone, a pullback area. Here is our Fibonacci retracement. We can see it pretty clean there on the weekly chart there. So that's kind of the idea. Now the 200 SMA is going to be a little bit mixed since it is a weekly chart here, but you can see even on the weekly chart, we have a strong bullish trend there overall on gold. And so that's just some levels there to think about. Hopefully this was helpful to you guys. This has just been my analysis on XAUUSD. This is gold. Hopefully you got something from this video. If you did, make sure to like the video down below and comment what you think about gold. We'll see you next time.